All right, let's keep this conversation going and bring in our weekend panel. Executive Director of America First Works and author of Best the Elites, Ashley Hayek, and political commentator and columnist for the Washington Examiner and New York Post, Ian Hayworth. Thank you guys for sticking around. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
All right, Ian, we're heading towards a global conflict. Something that, could resemble, it's possible, this, God forbid, turns into a third world war. Where's our president on all of this?
I mean, he's either asleep at the beach or enjoying an ice cream. It's pretty terrible what he's doing. I think that's really how we got here. I think a lot of foreign policy, we love to talk about what's happening now. We love to be reactive. But the fact is that we do not have a proactive foreign policy in place. We have a foreign policy in place in which we watch the world descend into flames, and then someone like Joe Biden or Barack Obama before him try and bribe the bad guys into not killing us. And all that does is fuel terrorism and keep this cycle of violence they love talking about going. The fact is that this only happened because Donald Trump is not in office, Joe Biden is in office. And it's horrific to watch, again, a president asleep or at the beach while Americans are kidnapped in Gaza. We're not even talking about Israel. We're talking about Americans kidnapped in Gaza, dozens of Americans going through goodness knows what. I don't think Joe Biden particularly cares. And if he cares, he does not know what to do about it.
Great point. And I think it's also something that keeps getting lost, with the squad and the members of Congress that don't want to condemn Hamas. Right. I haven't heard one of them mention any concern for American citizens that were killed and American citizens that are held captive. But,
right.
I can go on about that all day, Krisha. Go
Definitely.
ahead.
And, Ian, we got your perspective. A lot of people are also criticizing the Biden administration for not even mentioning Iran until it's way too late. But Ashley, want to get your assessment. Has the Biden administration handled the situation in Israel in a way that you feel comfortable with respect to this global conflict?
Well, Robert Gates, Obama's defense secretary, said Biden has been wrong on every major foreign policy and national security issue in 40 years. And what we've seen with Ukraine and our southern border and Afghanistan and now Israel, it does not really give me a sense of peace. And there's a reason that Joe Biden's approval rating has dropped 11 points with Democrats just in 1 month. And there's a reason we're seeing, a mass exodus of Jewish Americans leave the Democrat Party. And it's really because of how he is handling these issues. He has spent more time pandering to the far left of its party and talking about, attacks on Muslims when we're seeing Jewish kids locked in libraries on their college campuses than actually addressing what's going on both at home and abroad. So, they're double downing on support of Palestine and rebuilding Gaza, and their silence about what's happening here in the United States is actually deafening.
Yeah, I think you made some excellent points there. And since you brought it up, let's talk a little bit about the 2024 presidential election. New poll has, I think it was a Suffolk USA Today poll, has RFK Jr. at about 13%. And in addition to that, Ian, we have a new candidate running a primary, right? So with Democrats jumping in, what does that say where you have RFK Jr. at 13%, you have poll numbers showing the approval rating of Joe Biden at an all-time low, and now you have another Democrat, Congressman Phillips, jumping in. This does not look good because usually when a wartime situation, whether it's a full war of the United States or it's Israel, Hamas, and we're involved, usually president's numbers go up. His actually went down.
Well, I think there's a big reason for that is that a lot of this is Joe Biden's fault. I'm not going to place all of the blame at Joe Biden because that's obviously unfair. Hamas is a genocidal terrorist group, has been since its inception. But the general decay of the foreign policy space is all because of Biden. I think he's obviously spectacularly unpopular if you look at really any part of American life. So I'm not surprised candidates are coming in. The area I worry, though, is that Democrats always circle the wagon. We're months out from the election. We can talk about someone running against him. When it comes down to it, Democrats, they will vote for a dead man before they vote for someone like Donald Trump. They will all rally behind their guy. And I think the problem is that a lot of Republicans might like RFK Jr.'s message and might go over to his side. That'll make it harder for Republicans to beat Joe Biden in 2024. And so I think it's obviously good that he's having some pushback. But ultimately, they always circle the wagons. It happens every single time. It doesn't matter about polling numbers. It doesn't matter about the state of the world. Democrats vote for Democrats.
Ashley, in another sign of Joe Biden's weakness, we have also had California Governor Gavin Newsom going to China to meet with President Xi. He said his meeting with Xi focused on climate as well as fentanyl exports, which the Biden administration has been trying to curb through sanctions on Chinese chemical companies. Nothing about, in general, China's relation with the United States and how they're ramping up aggression. What's this all about?
She declined to meet with Joe Biden and several other visiting dignitaries and left them to meet with lower-ranking officials. And so Gavin Newsom managing to secure this meeting really is embarrassing for the president of the United States, because this is China's attempt to undermine the U.S. president by engaging with his biggest political rival, if you will. And as a nation, it's embarrassing enough that President Biden is regarded as being so incredibly weak. But now we have a government leader, Gavin Newsom, pandering to a foreign country that has been killing our people with fentanyl and sending spy balloons across the country. That's a huge problem. But it's not just Xi that wouldn't meet with Joe Biden. You now are seeing, the king of Egypt, who's coming out, refused to meet with Joe Biden overseas. This man has no credibility on the world stage.
None. Absolutely none. We're going to leave it there, though. Thank you so much, Ian and Ashley. Appreciate your input.
Thanks so much.
All right, there's much more to cover on Wake Up America Weekend. Don't go anywhere, because up next, we continue our coverage of the war in Israel as it enters its 4th week. Keep it right here on Newsmax. We'll be right back.
You served your country. Now get the benefits you've earned. Paul R. Lawrence, the former Undersecretary of Benefits for the VA.